What if I told you that the top 1% of young men aren't just lucky or born rich? They follow 7 specific money habits that separate them from everyone else. I'm talking about guys in their 20s and 30s who are quietly building massive wealth while their peers are drowning in debt and living paycheck to paycheck. That is not good. But there are 7 specific money habits that the top 1% of young men practice religiously. These aren't complicated strategies, buying a bunch of crypto and offshoring all of it or whatever, anything like that. They're simple habits that anyone can adopt, but only the smartest 1% actually do. These are the exact principles that separate the guys who retire early from the guys who work until they die, wondering why their money never got ahead despite making decent money. So let's start with the simple concept. There can be 2 guys making the same money, same age, same job, but one of them is broke every month, stressed, always catching up, but the other is quietly stacking money and no one even notices. It's not luck and it's not income. It's small decisions they make every single day. And the first one is where almost everyone starts losing. One of the most key money habits that most guys have is they don't overspend. This sounds really obvious, right? But let's make this really simple. If you want to be in the top 1% of men in the world financially, you need to get this right. If you are spending more money than you make, you're not going to have money to save. You're not going to have money to invest. You're not going to have money to build towards a home. You're not going to have money to do anything with, to build yourself, to build your skills, to start a business, to do anything. You're gonna have no money to grow, no money to keep as a security blanket if you're overspending. It's really that simple. If you're spending more money than you make or spending too much money just in general, then you're draining all of your resources, and it's really that simple. Something that creeps up on us is lifestyle, right? This sounds really simple, but oftentimes when we get raises or we get bonuses or money we just didn't expect to get, maybe it's through an inheritance or a job promotion that we really weren't expecting, right? Those types of things, and then we're like, oh, look, got an extra $5,000 in my pocket. I'm gonna start treating myself to some more fast food. I'm gonna eat out at every lunch while I'm at work. So instead of packing my lunch anymore, I'm just going to settle for that. I'm going to do that. And then what happens if maybe, heaven forbid, you lose your job and you have to go find a new job, but while you're finding the new job, you have to take a little bit of an income decrease, but you're still really used to getting fast food every day for lunch, and you don't really make the mental adjustment back to being like, oh, I'm back on this lower income now, so I'm going to adjust my lifestyle back. Usually what happens is our lifestyle tends to creep up when we increase our income. However, if we ever decrease our income, which doesn't happen that often, but sometimes it does, we'd never really resurface it. But also, just in general, say you do increase your income and you keep that income and your lifestyle creeps up. Well, you're not making any progress then. You really didn't get a raise because your money's just going away at the same rate of your lifestyle creeps up to your new income. That's something you really have to be aware of. Again, just because you can afford something, it doesn't mean you should buy it. And most flexing out there these days, whether it's on social media or, TikTok or Andrew Tate, right? I feel like Andrew Tate's a big figure for guys nowadays. A lot of that stuff is financed, meaning that they're not even living their own dream. They're living a dream they wish they could live. And so they finance money with debt, basically money that they don't have to buy things that they can't afford. And so most of the time you're looking at people being like, oh, I wish I had what they had. They wish they had what they had too. It's pretty simple. Again, overall, looking rich is the fastest way to staying broke because you're basically living a lifestyle you can't afford, and it's really that easy. The next habit that a lot of young men that are wealthy practice is the ability to avoid debt. Again, this sounds really simple, especially after talking about overspending in the last point, but debt kills, man. Something that really stuck out to me that I really just want to share with you straight up is how debt just offsets investing, right? This can sound like a really basic concept, but let me break it down to you. All right, so for instance, let's just say you're carrying a credit card, right? And you're going to do a little bit of credit card debt, no big deal. You'll be able to get out of it maybe this month or next month. No, it's all right. Now, let's say, for instance, right, you're investing as well. You're investing in your retirement. You're investing in your future through a brokerage that you could pull money out earlier, right? Whatever it may look like for you. I don't know what it looks like, but just for the sake of this video, just for the sake of the argument, let's just say you're investing a little bit somewhere. Now, for most indexed market returns, you're hoping to at least probably get around 8%. As of recently, it's been up to 10%. So let's just, for the sake of it, say the market's being generous and it's giving you 12% a year. Now, let's also go ahead and look at your credit cards. Now, let's say you're still carrying that 1 month or 2 month worth of credit card debt that you'll be able to get off very soon, but you still rack up some interest, right? Now, let's say you have $1,000 on your credit card, you have $1,000 in investments. Now, let's say per se, you grow $1,000 at 12% in a year, and so you get $120 back from your investments. Now, of course, you're probably going to want to keep that money in your account, but again, let's just say you liquidate it right away, which is not smart to do. I wouldn't do that, but let's just say you do for the sake of the argument. Let's bring that back over to your credit card. Let's say you're carrying $1,000 worth of debt and you get hit with an interest payment and it's charging you what a normal credit card would. It's on the lower end. Let's call it 18%, which usually it's 20 to 22. Well, that's $180. You see where I'm going with this? You get $120 from your investments. You get $180 from your credit or from your credit cards, your debt, right? That means you're losing $60 overall. Not a good situation. So basically that math equation works out to the fact of if you have any debt at all, you should not be investing. And if you're not investing, then you're not doing well financially. So again, you have to take care of debt first and then invest, but still, debt as a whole is just bad, right? Pretty simple. Again, I think you get the thought experiment. Even with a great return rate of investment interest and a very generous interest rate for credit cards at 18%, which is surprisingly really generous for debt, right? Even at those great rates, you're still getting screwed. And so it just kind of emphasizes the importance of getting out of debt and being out of debt. To make it really simple, that's the whole reason why I went down on that tangent. Again, credit cards aren't extra money, they're future stress. Car payments keep you stuck longer than you would ever think, and like I already said, interest is working against you, not for you. Most people in our world are normalizing debt. However, that's the same people that are staying broke. Just because something's normal doesn't make it good. If you owe, then you are owned. As Dave Ramsey would say, the borrower is slaved to the lender. That's not a Dave Ramsey quote. That's actually a Bible verse, but Dave Ramsey quotes it a lot. Long story short, don't get into debt. Some debt can be good, like student loans. If you're going to get an education, you pay that debt off right away. It's fine. A mortgage is fine because you're kind of building some equity, but car loans, terrible. Credit card debts, terrible. Like, just stay away from that stuff, man, and try to get out of it as fast as possible. Another habit of a top 1% man financially is to invest constantly. This sounds really simple, but so many guys just wait around until they make more money. They're like, I'll make more money, and then I'll start investing. However, the only thing more powerful than the money you put into the market is the time that you allow it to grow. So if you put $1 in today, that dollar is going to grow to so much more than if you put $1 in 40 years from now. It's really that simple. I think something that's also heavily underrated when talking about investing, especially at a young age, is that you're starting to build the discipline before you have more money. And so if you're able to build the discipline on a lower income when you have less and it seems less important, then when it becomes more important, you have a higher income and you have maybe a marriage partner that you're building goals with, it's going to be a lot easier to invest that money and be able to sacrifice that money, especially if you've done it at a younger age when it seems less important and you have less, right? Again, try to automate it as best you can so you don't have to think about it, and consistency will always beat the next hot crypto or hot stock. Really simple. Again, boring money wins. And so you just want to make sure that A, you're taking the time to learn about how to invest, setting up the accounts, and then consistently doing it as well. Really big and important. Now, most guys hear that and think investing is the hard part, and it's not. This next one is where a lot of people do mess up. The next point that a lot of the 1% of wealthy young men do is they think long-term in every decision. Ask, will this matter in 5 to 10 years? And that's going to save you a lot. It's going to save you from dumb purchases. It's going to save you from making terrible decisions about your lifestyle, like drinking and gambling and smoking and who you date, right? That's going to save you a lot there. Furthermore, ask yourself, is this going to matter in 40 years? And that's going to help you build a house, buy a house, mortgage a house, whatever. Marry the right girl. It's going to matter about working towards retirement. And overall, maybe it's just doing something more meaningful with your life than someone who just thinks about the present 24/7, right? Short-term comfort is not as good as long-term freedom. And so you want to make sure you're building towards that. Who you date, where you live, what you do, everything. Most people optimize for now and then regret it later. And that's just not good. We live in a world that's instant. We're talking about gambling. We're talking about like Instagram Reels. People are moving away from movies and going to TV shows. Everybody is looking for a quick dopamine hit. So in a world where people are all looking for that, and for a culture that is continuing to pursue easy, fast stuff, the people that are willing to make things last long and go hard and have it not be fun 24/7 are the people who are really going to be successful in the upcoming generations. It seems really, really stupid and really, really simple because that used to be a mandatory thing, but nowadays it's just not. Again, think like your 30-year-old self is watching you. You want to make them proud. You know how we kind of look back at our younger selves and we're like, I just want to make my 10-year-old self proud. I just want to make my 12-year-old self proud with who I marry and what job I get into. Man, make your 30-year-old self proud because you're going to have to answer to him one day because you are going to be him one day. Make sure you're building something great now and not just waiting for the future. Anyways, the next habit that the top 1% do is being thoughtful with purchases. Again, we get money to spend money. Don't get me wrong. And you should make purchases from time to time. You should be making grocery purchases. You should be making a house purchase and stock purchases, of course, right? And you should be spending money on video games from time to time. And you should be doing some fun things and going to see movies. But man, when it comes to like $1,000 decisions, let's make sure that we're slowing down and really thinking about it, right? If you're going to spend $1,000 on one night, like a concert, like it better be somebody you really, really want to see, right? Like, if your friends are like, hey, there's this concert coming up, we're all going, you should come with, and you check, it's $1,000, and you're like, I mean, like, all my friends are going, it should be a good time, let's go, and then you go, and it's like, sure, it might be fun, and the music might be great, but it's not really worth the $1,000 because it's not something you really care about, right? And this can look like a lot of different things. I don't just want to keep bashing this horse dead, but another thing that, again, I'm pro-marriage, I'm pro-young marriage, don't get me wrong on this, but a big expense is weddings, right? Do you really need to be spending $30,000 to $40,000 on a wedding like one day? Like, are we serious? You could take that $30,000 to $40,000 and put it towards a down payment on a house, right? I'm just saying, you don't need to be spending a bunch of money on something that really doesn't matter that much in the long term. I think weddings are important. I think celebrating with your family is important. However, you don't need to be spending $50,000 to $60,000 to $70,000 on one day. It's not worth the money. And sure, are you going to remember it? Yes, but you're not going to remember the immense amount of people you had it and the fancy things you catered. You're going to remember marrying your spouse. You're going to remember hanging out with your immediate family and having a fun time. That's what you're going to remember, and that's what's really, really important. However, I'm not trying to turn this into a marriage discussion. Let's keep this purely financial. But again, every dollar you spend should have a purchase. It's okay to have fun from time to time, and it's okay to, have a life, but make sure we're not overspending in areas we don't need to overspend in. Pretty simple. The next thing I'm going to talk about might not apply to everybody, but it's really important if you're going to be a top 1% person, which is using employer benefits if you have them. Again, I'm talking about 401k matches, which is basically free money if you take it. Health insurance can save you thousands. HSAs is one of the most slept on wealth building tools, and most young guys ignore this completely. Your job is paying you more money than you think, and you're just not taking it. It sounds arbitrary and foo-foo-y, and like I said, everybody out there is not going to have the same benefits, and most people who have benefits usually take advantage of them. However, if you do have benefits and you're not taking advantage of them, take advantage of them. It's free money. It's free help. Why not, right? It's pretty simple. Again, I know a lot of us are self-employed out there. I know a lot of us are looking and we're like, I don't really have the best job benefits. So again, if you have job benefits, take advantage of them. If you don't, then it's all right. You're going to be all right. But if you do have them, you'd be stupid not to take advantage of them, right? Life isn't fair, however. Some of us have advantages in some areas of our lives, and then we have disadvantages in other areas of our lives. So when you do have an advantage, go ahead and take it. When you do have a disadvantage, though, don't just sit around and pout and start working, be better, and build something better for yourself as well. Pretty simple. But anyways, the seventh one here is probably the most boring, but it probably has the highest ROI. The seventh habit that the top 1% do is they take responsibility. School failed me, parents failed me, inflation failed me, blah, 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 blah. Yes, well, the world is not perfect. I'm glad you're now just realizing that. However, it's now your turn to show up and take accountability. Take accountability for your education, your life, your spending, everything. You need to take accountability for your life. What do you want? What do you want out of life? Do you want to be an entrepreneur? Do you want to get married? Do you want to retire early? Do you want to travel the world? Do you want to buy expensive yachts? I don't know what it looks like, right? Whatever you want, that's fine. Set those goals and go get it. Don't sit around blaming the housing market. Don't sit around blaming inflation. Don't sit around blaming grocery prices, right? Are you going to be able to control those things? No. But if you sit around and worry about them, that's not going to do anything either. Go out, change your life, do something great. I hate seeing this generation of men become weak, sit around, become lazy, aren't building anything because they can't. The world isn't built for them, whatever. No, the world is built for you. You just have to go out and take it and go get it, man. Like, it's that simple. And I'm talking to myself here. I get lazy. I get redundant. I feel like the world's against me. And it might be, but there's still something I can go out and do. There's still something I can go out and create. There's still more money to be made, more money to get, like, invested and grown. And, like, if I sit around and I do nothing and I just blame everything else that has nothing to do with me, is that gonna do anything? No. It's just gonna make me more miserable. It's gonna make me feel more helpless, and it's not gonna grow anything. So I need to stop doing it too. But you watching this as well, if you want to be in the top 1% of men, the best thing you can do is take responsibility for your life and go out and get it. Pretty simple. Check out another video of mine on your screen right now. I think you're gonna love it. Peace out. And subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'd really appreciate it.